No, you're all good.
And now the starters will lead the University of Minnesota Duluth. Tom Howard is on to number 6, Carolina. The Warrior is 12, Abby Wood. From Mankato is on to number 18, Mackenzie Morgan. From the Duluth is number 3, Howard. From Chatsworth is number 39, Sarah Cody. From Loretto is
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MBN Network, your home of Maverick Sports. Tonight's Friday night matchup is the number 7 visiting Minnesota Duluth versus Minnesota State. Minnesota Duluth has proven themselves this year as they come out with a 19-4 record with a 12-2 in conference play, and Minnesota State comes in with a 15-7 record, 8-6, and to prove something to the Bulldogs that they are not only in the middle of the pack in this NSIC, but they are going to be dealing with years to come. And we take a look here as there's a little bit of confusion. As Mara Kwam comes in for Ashton Lee right away, and it will be Michaela Porter to serve for the Mavericks and to start this night off. As we take a look here earlier, Minnesota State came off a great weekend, winning both of their matches Friday and Saturday afternoon. And then there's Kwam keeping it alive. And there it is. The first point of the afternoon goes to the Mavericks. Thank you to number 10, Morgan Olson. Morgan Olson is a name that you should get familiar with if you are not familiar with Mavericks volleyball. She is quite the impact player at the net with kills, blocks, and she makes herself an impact player yet on defense and on offense. And there it is, off the tip. And it's 2-0 early for the Mavericks as they come out here with some spark, as they always do. And that's one of the things for the Mavericks here is they always get out early. They always get out to a great start, and let's see if they can continue it throughout the day. As that is long from Michaela Porter, as that is the first service error of the afternoon, as we like to see what the Bulldogs here can come in this afternoon. And back to serve is Mackenzie Morgan. Mackenzie Morgan is a 5'10" senior out of Appleton, Wisconsin. As she goes, and Garby gets it, and there's the block by number 12, Abby Thor, and Abby Thor ties this game up as it's 2-2 here early in the first set. And there's Garby, and that's sent back. And there's the tip in, and falls just inside the line. And that's a point. That's a nice play there by Garby, as she will head back to serve, and she gives the Mavs a 3-2 lead. And here's Garby serving from the left side this time. And that is out. And that is a point, Mavericks. That was hit wide by number 3, Kate Berg. And here's Garby to extend this lead here for the Mavericks early and see if they can do something and go on some sort of a run. And there's the touch by Morgan Olson. And those long arms of hers prove to be yet of a factor here early. And the Mavericks want to prove something here today, as they got a match, and that hit the net from the Bulldogs, and that resulted in a point for the gold and purple. And Jim Booz, in his 17th year as the Minnesota Duluth head coach, says he's had enough here to see, and he's going to call a timeout. As we take a look here at the Mavericks weekend's matchup, they played last Friday night on the 13th in Bemidji. The attendance was 127. And they single-handedly took care of Bemidji State, as they took them in the first 3 and swept them. But the closest set had got to be that second set, when they won 25-23. And they had a little bit of woe going in and out of that in that match there in that set. And they're just trying to prove that they can hang on with the best of them. And they rightfully so took home those 2, as they ended up going Saturday. They ended up going one longer to Minnesota Crookston, up there in Crookston, Minnesota. And they lost that third set, but they came back in the fourth set and decided to take it home and wanted to pack up early. One of the keys here in this match for Minnesota State against the Bulldogs is to win that service errors matchup, as that's kind of becoming a key in those self errors. And the key here for the Bulldogs is to stop Minnesota here in this first set, as that is in fact in. And that results in a point for the Bulldogs as they stop that 4-point swing there for the Mavericks. And back to serve here is Keena Seifert. Seifert is a 5'8" junior out of Chaska, Minnesota. And here's Joey Veldman as she hits that long. And there's two in a row for the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs come in at a 19-4 clip and number 7th in Division II. And they are, even with that type of record, you'd think they'd be pretty far up there. 3rd in the conference. And still have yet to be proved, as that is another point for Minnesota Duluth. And then the dive by Quam as she gets dirty and takes on some dust from the floor. But the hit is wide right, and that results in another 4-point swing, as this is tied up at 6. And there's the set as that hits the net and barely goes over. As that hit is wide. As the attention was trying to get it in, but that is not good. As Ashton Lee comes in for number 16, Anissa Janzig. And back to serve is Mara Quam. Mara Quam is a sophomore from Kenyon, Minnesota at 5'7". And that is long from Sarah Kelly. Sarah Kelly is a Chaska native, and she is a senior for the Bulldogs. She is one of the very many, the 3 seniors on this Bulldog team, in matter of fact. And the Bulldogs are relatively old here, as I see a lot of juniors and a lot of seniors. But there are young, too, as they have a ton of freshmen, as that is a point from Minnesota State. And here comes Lowry and Schindler into this game, as it's 8-7 Mavericks here. And Lowry looks, she's pretty determined here. If she comes into this game and she comes serving in right away, and she's got a lot to do with. Schindler and Lowry are very impact freshmen that you should watch here for Minnesota State. As there's a whistle called, and that point results in a Bulldog point. So let's see here what the Mavericks can do on defense and try to get the ball back to serve. And there's Garby from a distance. And she tries to hit it over, but and that comes up, and it's tipped at the line from the Mavericks and Dana Schindler. And here's Joey Veldman trying to go, but that was tipped, and it results in a point, even though it was long. Joey Veldman puts the Mavericks back on the board, and she goes back to serve as well. One of the things to know about Joey Veldman in the last matchup against Minnesota Crookston last weekend on Saturday, she led the team in service errors. That was an intense hit from Quam. Here's Lowry with the set to Ashton Lee, and Ashton Lee with authority puts it on the ground and puts up another point on the board for the Mavericks. As we look here at the other women's volleyball, Minot State takes on Augustana in Sioux Falls. That is tonight at 6 p.m. right when this game started as well. And that is a point as nobody tipped it. And there is some argument from the Duluth bench, as Jim Booz is not very a big fan of that call, as he thought it was tipped, and results in a point for the Mavericks. And St. Cloud State travels to St. Paul as they take on Concordia St. Paul, as with authority, the Chaska native Sarah Kelly hits it as Veldman tries to save it from hitting the ground, but she came up nothing but short. Back to serve for the Bulldogs is Megan Freeberg. Freeberg is a sophomore from Bloomington, Minnesota. She comes out of Bloomington Jefferson High School. As that one is in from number 8, Mackenzie Morgan, as she comes in on fire here, as she's proven to be a tough one here, and something that the Mavericks might want to keep an eye on. As that is a service error, the first of the afternoon for the Bulldogs. And as soon as that comes in, Keena Seifert exchanges for Megan Freeberg. As Ashton Lee, number 23, for the gold and purple, is back. And the long arms of Anissa Janzig prove to be something there. She sends it right back, but it's kept alive by that Bulldog side. And then there's Garby. She tries to hit it over those long arms, and she does. And it's tipped at the net. Lowry with the set to Garby. And that goes off and goes into the net from the Bulldogs, and that results in another point. And it's got that Mavericks crowd and bench fired up. That was a great all-around volley by both teams, as they did a lot to keep it alive, and it was actually quite tremendous to watch. And there it is with authority from number 12, Abby Thor from Woodbury, Minnesota, decides to put it down to the ground and results in a point. As Quam comes back in for Ashton Lee, as she goes right to the bench after serving. Seems to be there's a pattern here for everybody as Lowry sets it up, and that goes straight to the ground. One thing that you haven't seen here from Minnesota State is trying to keep that ball alive once it goes to the ground. You see a lot of bodies go to the floor, but nothing come of it. And that just proves how hard and fast that this Bulldog offense is and how powerful they are up front near the net. And back to serve is Emily Torvey. As it is tipped at the net from Garby, as number 6, Hannah Meyer, tried to do something of it, and she came up nothing but short. And we finally see into the game is number 12, Michaela Porter. And she's back to serve. She does two bounces and over. And that's outstretched the arms as they got up late. And Abby Thor comes in yet again and comes up big for the Bulldogs as they pull within 1. And Mackenzie Morgan is back for her second time this afternoon trying to serve here. And the soft touch proves to come nothing of. And there's the block right there by Jansing, and she is fired up. And here comes another t-shirt toss as the fans get rowdy for it. And it's actually caught this time and doesn't drop to the floor. As we got a great crowd here this afternoon, as there's a lot of Bulldog fans here, and it's actually quite good to see as they have a long way to travel. Some of them do, some of them don't. But it's quite nice to see a little nice fan base. And that is hit long by number 6, Hannah Meyer. And that results in a point as Garby goes back for her second consecutive time and tries to make something of it. As it's kept alive here, as Joey Feldman hits it long. And that's a point as it was not tipped. And it's a tight one here midway through this first set as it's 16-14 Minnesota State as they always get out to a hot start. The key is just to keep it composed. And one thing for the Bulldogs is they have done yet often this season is sweep opponents, or at least go 4 sets and they don't make anything close. And there it is. Boom, as Garby tries to save it, but with the Cordy, Kate Berg pulls the Bulldogs within 1. As here is Keena Seifert. And Garby tries to pull Michaela Porter tries to pull a fast one and soft touch over the net. But there is a whistle and another error by Minnesota State, their third this set. And that is costing them early as that's giving them 3 points as a timeout by Coach Lori Rittenhouse-Wolmuth proves to be something of it. And one of the keys I like to point out is you notice the tremendous upside here this year for Minnesota State. And one of the things I talked to our AD, Paul Allen, about earlier, actually late last week, early this week, was the impact and performance of the new assistant coach that they have this year. And he doesn't get much recognition, maybe from the girls on the sidelines and from the coach, but many of you fans don't really know, is Joe Klein. Joe Klein comes out of Graceland University, and he graduated in 09, but he was a coach with Nebraska women's volleyball, as they're one of the top teams in the nation in Division I volleyball. And he's proved to be somewhat of an impact in teaching a lot of these girls and kind of turning the culture around here. As Coach Jim Booz, on the other hand, for Duluth, they're just a powerhouse in Division II. He has done great things for 17 years, and that's proved why he stayed there for 17 years up in Duluth, and it has tremendous impact on this program, and they continue to do well year in and year out. As it is 16-all as we resume play here after that Minnesota State timeout. And Porter, trying to add to her assist total, but comes up short. And that block from Olsen, and that Olsen-Janzik combo up front proves to be a lot here, as they are just getting that front line and proving to be something of a little bit of bite in the butt. As that was long, and a service error yet again here from Minnesota State, and that's Garby. And coming in to serve, number 5, Sydney Lano. Sydney Lano is a freshman from Tracy, Minnesota. Out of Tracy Melroy Belleton High School. And Joey Veldman puts points back up on the board for the Mavericks as the combo of Olsen and Porter come out, and Lowry and Schindler, both freshmen, come back into play. And here we go. And with authority, Sarah Kelly is proving that she's got to be a factor here, along with her partner, Mackenzie Morgan. Morgan and Kelly have combined for, well, quite a bit of points, and then probably the majority of the points here for the Bulldogs to start this first set. As the Mavericks are putting up a fight here, and the Bulldogs are answering back, and I kind of like this back and forth matchup. And keep in mind, fans, it is to 25, but you got to win by 2 points no matter in what set. And that is hit long, way long. And that is point Bulldogs as they take their first lead here in this first set. And here's Veldman as it's tipped by that front three. And it's blocked, and Veldman and Lee cannot come up with it as it falls to the floor. And point Bulldogs. As there's Lee with authority. And it's hitting in the net by Kate Berg. And that's point Mavericks. As there is a little bit of a holdup here as Jolie Veldman is waiting for the ball as she was tying her shoe. Mavericks are down 1. They got the ball, but the Bulldogs have the lead 20-19. And that soft touch by Kelly didn't fool anything of the Mavericks that go around. As it comes off the hands of Lee, it falls up short of Lowry as she has to hit the deck. And he comes up short. As Morgan Freeberg comes straight into the game to go to serve. As the sophomore comes in and has proved to be something of it, as she had a service there last time she was in, but she looks to take advantage of it and try to turn it over the other way as the Mavericks try to do something. And Quamsby something of it. And it off the net by Garby. As Berg hits the deck but falls short as it hits the net and just goes straight down. As there is a substitution for Lee entering the game, Jane Sekowitz comes into the game for the first time here tonight, and she tries to do something and put something of it for the Mavericks here. As that is hit and tipped at the line by Janzig, that falls to the ground, and the Bulldogs are starting to pull away here. Number four, Emily Torvey is back to serve here for the Bulldogs yet again here in this first set. Here's Dana Schindler, the freshman, as that goes off Kiana Seifert, and that's a point Minnesota State. As Schindler gets the ball back for her team, as it does bring in Olsen and Porter, as Porter tries to come in again and do something of it this time around as she tries to add to her assist total on the year, leading the Mavericks. And there it is from number 8, Mackenzie Morgan. She gets the point and heads back to serve. And the Bulldogs are 2 points away from winning this first set and going up 1-0. As it was a little bit of a high set there. And that is off the hands of Janzig. And here it is. Point Bulldogs as they take a 24-1 lead, and a timeout for Minnesota State as they are 1 point away from being down 1-0 here in this match. As we take a look here at some of the stats, there's quite a bit of difference here And one of the things I'd like to point out is service errors. Service errors is in favor of Minnesota State 2-1, and the digs are in heavy favor of the maroon and gold, 21-16, and that proves to be something of the nature of why Minnesota Duluth is the number 7 team in Division II. And they are being yet impressive here again here in the Bresnan Arena in Taylor Center on the campus of Minnesota State. As referees whistled to break the huddle for Minnesota Duluth as they come back out on the floor. Fans, may I remind you, if Minnesota Duluth decides to take this point right here, they will actually end up, there will be a little bit of an intermission of 3 minutes between the next set. And that is in as the fans from Minnesota Duluth, especially the family, were on their feet and clapping in rhythm as Minnesota Duluth takes that first set. As they came back from down, their biggest margin was 4. I mean, it's not really that much, but they decided to do something of it. As I take a break here, and I'll be back with those first set stats. Before I get to the stats, we're going to take a look at other MSU teams playing today and yet tomorrow. One of the teams that played today for Minnesota State was our soccer team as they defeat Northern State 1-0 as they improved to 12-2-1 on the year and 10-1-1 in NSIC play. And then as we take a look to tomorrow, as your women's volleyball is in fact back in action tomorrow as they take on St. Cloud State here at the Taylor Center at Bresnan Arena at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, as this game will be streamed live as well. As we take a look here at some of the stats from that first set victory that goes to University of Minnesota Duluth, we take a look at UMD's kills. They lead it with 14 and 9 errors as it goes to 11 kills for Minnesota State and 7 errors for them as well. The percentage is quite low in hitting percentage as UMD, has a 12 hitting percentage compared to Minnesota State's 9. And that's going to be quite something here to look forward in this second set, as we'll see if the Mavericks can steal one here or the Bulldogs decide to go up 2-0 and not give any hope to the Mavericks. As we take a look here at the Mavericks, they come out in the gold jerseys this afternoon with the purple numbers, as Minnesota Duluth comes out with the maroon jerseys with the gold numbers and lettering as well. And back to serve to open this second set for the Bulldogs is number 4, Emily Torvey. As she gets an ace right away as Garby has to hit the deck. It comes up nothing, and there's the first point on the board of that second set, goes to UMD. As here's Porter trying for that assist and to keep racking up that total for herself. As Porter and Veldman try to do something of it, but that goes right in between them as it hits the floor. And it results in a point for Minnesota Duluth. As that was another error by Minnesota State. And even though that it would have resulted in a point for Minnesota State, as Torvey hit it into the net. And there seems to be some sort of confusion on that whistle. As she is in fact explaining to it. As they seem to have it figured out, but there's nothing that I could see to make me change that. They maybe change their mind. As Morgan Olson, with authority, point Mavericks and puts the Mavericks on the board here and sends Garby back to serve. As Garby takes 2 bounces and with a jump. And there it is, off the hands of number 3, Kate Berg, and goes out of bounds, and that's point Minnesota State. As that is hit into the net by number 8, Mackenzie Morgan, as she tries to get some authority as well. But it seemed to be she was too far and hit it on the wrong spot as it goes into the net, and that's a tie. That's a tie ball game. As there it is, Garby is proven to be something of a factor here in the second set, as she's getting this Mavericks women's volleyball team on a roll here. She's got 4 straight points. And number 6, Hannah Meyer, says, I've had enough of that. And we're going to put an end to that as it comes back to be tied at 4 apiece. And that sends Mackenzie Morgan back as that goes right into Garby, and she just bats it to the floor. Morgan Olson is long as she tries to plead her case to the referee, saying it was tipped, but he's having none of it. And that results in a point for UMD. Mackenzie Morgan is doing something that Olivia Garby did just moments ago, as she's given her team quite a bit of swing. And Kate Berg sends it back as Morgan Olson's hit goes right into the arms of Berg, and she sends it right back and hits the ground, and there we go. And there's a timeout from head coach Lori Rittenhouse-Woolmuth, as she's had enough to see as the Bulldogs take a 7-4 lead here early in this second set. As we take a look at some stats here, the leaders in points on the Bulldogs side is Abby Thor at 6.5. Kate Berg and Sarah Kelly are tied at 4. On the side of the Mavericks, Olivia Garby and Morgan Olson are tied with the lead at 5, and Anissa Janzig is behind by 1 with 4 points. We look at hitting percentages. Ashton Lee is at the top for the Mavericks at 33%, and Abby Thor is at a astonishing 71.4, and closely behind her is her partner in crime up there at front, number 9, Sarah Kelly. And as we look here at the assists, Emily Torvey is out in front by a wide margin by any player. She's got 16 assists for that Bulldogs team. She proves to be quite a factor here for the Bulldogs. And something that they're going to try to do as Anissa Janzig ends that run for the Bulldogs and gives it to Mara Kwam as she goes back to serve. As there was a little bit of a communicational issue, as too many hits there results in a point, and that's a point for MSU as they climb back within one. And that's short. That proves to be something. As that short, Berg has to run up and get it, and Olsen sends it right to the ground with that kill and ties the ball game up. Here's Berg, and that's long. And there's 4 straight points, but 3 on serving for MSU. And there it is. And the ball goes back to Minnesota State as Abby Thor throws it into the arms of Ashton Lee, and it goes straight to the ground. And here is a dive by Kwam from the soft hit by Anna Meyer. And Kaylee Peter hits it long. Kaylee Peter, we don't mention her name much, as she's a 6'2" freshman from Carroll, Iowa, on the side of Minnesota State. And there it is again, Morgan Olsen. This time a great setup by Michaela Porter, as her and Olsen decide to come out, and both freshmen, Lowry and Schindler. As we don't see much of this, I mean, you see Minnesota State throw out 2 freshmen at a time, and Schindler and Lowry, but having 3 out there with Kaylee Peter is quite of a rare sighting. As Garby hits the deck, and then they keep it alive as all 3 attempts go to the floor and go out of bounds, and the Bulldogs take a 10-9 lead. As Sydney Lano and that is long. That is a service error. And the second of this ball game from the Bulldogs, excuse me. And that's something none other that you don't really see, as both service errors are tied at 2. And that is a nice serve coming from number 3, Jane Sakowitz, and Sarah Kelly with the point, and that sends back Kate Berg. As Berg takes 3 bounces and decides to stand and not jump, as she gets that ace as it hits the deck. It results in a point for the Bulldogs. One of the things that I'd like to say this afternoon is that it does go to a point for the maroon and gold. Minnesota Duluth has done quite a nice job up front with Sarah Kelly and Mackenzie Morgan alongside Abby Thor as that goes out. They've done a real nice job serving in a sense where it's kind of backed Minnesota State up into a corner, as it's allowed them to be back on their heels and hit it in an awkward position, not allowing them to get, comfortable. As Ashton Lee decides to stand close to the line and serve it over herself, as a soft touch brings in Sakowitz. And yet again, we call her name Mackenzie Morgan, a huge threat, and she wears number 8 for the Bulldogs, and she is quite an incredible volleyball player. And here's Lowry with the set to Garvey, and the block by Thor, as Garvey has to hit the deck near the bench as she tries to save it, but comes up short. As a nice set by Torvey, she sets up number 8, Morgan, yet again. And we call her name, and that's the second timeout. And Coach Rittenhouse-Wilmuth has had enough of this, and she decides to take her second timeout of the second set, as the Mavericks are out of timeouts. And Minnesota Duluth has both of them. And it's quite an accomplishment as we look to kills. Minnesota Duluth got 22-16. And I will take a look here around women's volleyball live at St. Cloud State and Concordia St. Paul, as some of you may have been keeping your eyes on that game, as Concordia St. Paul gentlemen, I am having some difficulty loading that on this computer here in front of me. As I take a look here at all the scores around the NSIC, and as we take a look here at St. Cloud and Concordia, Concordia took that first set 25-15 over St. Cloud, as a point goes to Abby Thor and the Bulldogs. And back to the Concordia St. Paul St. Cloud match this afternoon. St. Cloud State has got a 24-21 lead and looking up to tie that game, as they have proven to be something of it and quite a lot to handle in the hands of Concordia St. Paul. And another point for the Bulldogs as they're starting to pull away, and this is the largest lead we have seen yet this afternoon. And that lead is 7, as the Bulldogs lead at 18-11. And that's a tip off the front line, and Berg, as she tries to channel her inner Michael Jordan and do something of it, but she does not. As the Mavericks are down 6, and Michaela Porter wants to throw some points up on the board before giving it back to the Bulldogs. And there it is, point Duluth. As that goes off a diving Torvey and out of bounds. And a nice hustle there by number 6, Hannah Meyer, trying to do something of it, but it goes up short and beyond the chairs on the bench on the right side of your screen. Nice low serve by Garvey. And that hard hit does something of it, as Jedzing and Olsen were a combo right there. And Booz decides to take a timeout. He's not really in a panic here as they're up 5, but he's just taking a timeout to try to cool the side of gold and purple. As he keeps his cool on the sidelines when he's talking to his ladies. We'll sit here and look at some again, and I said tomorrow there are teams in fact playing here in the NSIC here this afternoon as we take a look at women's soccer. St. Cloud State defeated Sioux Falls 2-0. Minnesota State, as I said earlier, defeated Northern State 1-0 here in Mankato. Wayne State College falls to Bemidji State in Wayne, Nebraska this afternoon. In some games that probably have ended here within the last few minutes, Minnesota Crookston and Augustana, Wayne State and University of Mary. And then games that started when we started with Southwest Minnesota State and University of Minnesota Duluth are currently going under the lights alongside Moorhead and Concordia St. Paul, Upper Iowa, and Minot State. As here's Garby. And she's seen a lot of playing time here today. As that is hit wide by number 6, Hannah Meyer. And that is point Mavericks. As Garby comes closer to the line this time as she's serving. That's a hard hit. And hitting the deck is Garby. And you can hear the screeching from when she dove right there. That goes off Porter and out of bounds. And here's Morgan. As that does in fact eat, as it tricked my eye. As I thought it went back, and I was wondering why Minnesota State didn't do anything about it. But it turns out it was on the side of Minnesota State, and that results in a point for them. As that's off of Lee, as she tries to block it, but nothing comes of it as it hits the floor. And here's Lee with authority. She's trying to get her girls back into the ball game. As that one sees 3 rows into the stands there. And we take a look around as Schindler and Lowry come into the game. And there it is. Another point by Sarah Kelly. We have called her name and both of her partners' name a lot here this afternoon. As we can clearly see the 3-headed monster that Duluth has there up front. And there it is, Ashton Lee. Ashton Lee, the sophomore out of Coal Valley, Illinois. The 6-footer is coming up huge for purple and the gold. As they all look into the sidelines here at Jane Sakowitz. Is that long set by Morgan, and then a nice save by Lowry. And there it is, as it is in fact in. And that is point Minnesota State, and the new score reads 22-19 in favor of Minnesota Duluth. As that does in fact hit the floor. And the Bulldogs are 2 points away here from claiming the second set and going up 2-0. And the block by Garby sends it back, but it sends it out wide. And we see the Bulldog family section, friends, family, They're on their feet again, clapping, rooting their ladies onto a second set victory. As Ashley Lee had quite something to say on that hit over the net. Schindler, Lowry to Garby, and in. And Garby holds that one up as the fans from Minnesota Duluth are going to have to wait on just a second. And here, in fact, is Ashton Lee. And they're going to that clap yet again, and that soft touch. And Garby into the hands, into the net, and back into Garby. And that'll be that. That second set results in a 25-20 victory in that second set for Minnesota Duluth. And that'll send us into a 5-minute break, as I'll come back with about 2 minutes remaining before that third set starts with some stats. Thank you, and we're going to step away. We are back here in Bresnan Arena. One of the things I would like to point out here is a hitting percentage increase for Minnesota Duluth. That percentage has gone up a walloping 22.4%, as their new percentage is 34.6%. That is incredible in one set, as Minnesota State increases just a little bit as it goes up to 13.3% to the previous 9.5. As we take a look here at some stats, and as we take a look here at, we're going to take a look here at points, as Abby Thor, Kate Berg, and Sarah Kelly are the top three here mentioning, and we cannot forget the impact play of none other than number 8, Mackenzie Morgan, as she has done wonders here for this Bulldogs team here tonight, in Mankato, as we are waiting for some things to change, some substitutions, and here it is. Michaela Porter is back to get this third set underway for the Mavericks, and hoping that they can do something here in this third set and take it to 2-1, and hopefully to get that into that fourth set. As I say that, it comes back and bites you in the butt, but Abby Thor throws it in for the first points of the game for Duluth. And it is set by Porter. It comes up a loop point. And there's Olsen, as number 6 Hannah Meyer has to hit the deck. But that ties up the game, as it is in fact one apiece here early, as Garber decides to go from the left side here and prove to be a factor. As that is long, in fact, and that is another service error. And here we go, point Bulldogs, as the Bulldogs want to take this third set and go home, as they got somewhere else to be tomorrow. As a set by Meyer to Berg, and that is wide left. As Coach Klein comes up after that point, saying something to the sophomore, Peter. And Coach Rittenhouse-Wilmuth says something else. And with authority, as that goes off Garby, in fact, and goes out. comes in Sydney Lanau. Lanau is a 5'9" freshman from Tracy, Minnesota, and she is done wonders in the serving department for them. With authority, Morgan Olson, and she is pumped up about that. She's getting this Mavericks crowd, trying to get them into it, as it is tied at 3 apiece. As Morgan Olson and Michaela Porter have a seat. Here's number 4 and number 7, Dana Schindler and Lauren Lowry. And that low serve near the net is a great factor. And that soft touch from number 9, Sarah Kelly, as Quam hitting the deck, and a point. And Lee is in. As they say, it was tipped. And that's a point, Minnesota State. Jane Sakowitz is back for her first time to serve here in this third set. As Lanau tries to keep that alive, but she does not. As that goes off of her hands and out to the right. As there is a net touch by Garvey, she's in frustration there. She gets rid of the ball, and that will throw the ball back to the Bulldogs. As Freeberg comes back in to serve here, number 1. She does a jump serve as well. Lowry, a little bit of a wild set. A block by Schindler and Lee. And that is in as that goes through the arms and misses from Abby Thor. As the Bulldogs gain the lead. That is a wild hit by Jane Sakowitz. And that soft touch as Quam and Sakowitz run into each other going after the ball. That's a nice set by number 4, Emily Torvey, but Abby Thor cannot do anything of it as that goes long. Oh, my mistake. They say it was in. Wow, I missed that. Interesting. But that's why I'm up here. And with authority, Garvey hits it off the top of the net, but it still goes over. Timeout, Minnesota State, as it is an 8-5 Bulldog lead. And as I said before, Minnesota State is back in action tomorrow against St. Cloud State in the Taylor Center in Mankato at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. As we continue to take a look here at team stats, UMD's hitting percentage goes down about 11 points as the hitting percentage for MSU stays the same. The assists are in heavy favor of Minnesota Duluth, 33-25. Service errors are tied at 3. Digs, advantage, Duluth, 36-28. Total blocks, Duluth, 7-5. Errors, 3-1 on the side in favor of Minnesota State. Block assists, 4-2. No blocking errors. Back as Freeberg is back again. My mistake. Garvey's with authority did not count. As Freeberg gets the ace as she ties up Garvey, and that was quite a nice serve. for Megan Freeberg. And here's Lowry's set. That was a nice serve to Garby, or nice set to Garby. As it is yet again Emily Torvey to Abby Thor, and there it is. Abby Thor has proven herself quite a player here as she continues to rack up the points as her totals rack up to 14. Dana Schindler gets herself on the board as well. And that's a point Mavericks. Dana Schindler is a freshman from Carver, Minnesota, and she stands at 6 foot even. Ashton Lee was back to serve. And that's a nice save by Jane Sakowitz. And Thor comes in yet again, and she adds to her total. As she's proven to be something along with her partners in maroon, Mackenzie Morgan and Sarah Kelly. Also, we cannot mention Kate Berg and the assisting by Emily Torvey, as they have done a whale of a ball game here. And Dana Schindler doesn't want to go home just yet as she decreases that lead, and that's a point for Minnesota State. As the new score reads 11-7, and that'll send Michaela Porter back. As it's set by Morgan, and that is a miss hit as Abby Thor whiffs, and that results in a point for Minnesota State. And that is in, and that'll send Mackenzie Morgan back. Rally back and forth is ended by Garvey. As the fans on the side of Minnesota State get up for the teacher tosh, and we know who that one went to as the piercing of the ear from the scream from a lucky fan. And that is in by Hannah Meyer. As that goes in and around the stands, and is retrieved by Dana Schindler. And that'll send back Keena Seifert. And Janzig off Seifert, as they all come in agreements, as that was a nice play. And here comes Mara Kwam, as she's back to serve. She does a jump as well, and they all say in unison, that one is long, and in fact it is. As Leno comes back in the ballgame for Meyer. And there it is. A hard hit by Morgan Olson, and that is a point Mavericks. As the junior and sophomore have a seat in Porter and Olson. And that is a service error by Lowry as she comes in and serves one right into the net right away. That is a missed hit by Garvey, and all of a sudden Lowry out of bounds to try to dive, and she gets it, and that's a timeout, the second of this third set from Minnesota State, as they are down 5. The score reads 16-11, and as the coaching staff on both sides decide to dry up something, and it seems like Klein, Rittenhouse, and Sabrina Gonzalez are very in unison about what's got to happen here for the purple and gold. If you're Jim Booz and both of his assistants, Kristen May and Kate Stearns, you got to be somewhat pleased of what they are showing here from the afternoon, especially with the top 4 from your lineup here. As Kate Berg, Mackenzie Morgan, Sarah Kelly, and Abby Thor are proving to be a lot for this Mavs team to handle, as they are in unison here, as Abby Thor and Sarah Kelly are holding up the points with a combined total of 27. But if you add Kate Berg into that mix, they have 37 points, and UMD has a total of 50. Those 3 girls right there are a powerhouse and a 3-headed monster for the side of Duluth. But then again, you look over, Morgan Olson, Olivia Garvey, and Anissa Janzig are having themselves a whale of a ball game as well, as they got to be proud of the way that they have been playing here so far. As that one hits the ground off of Quam's foot as she tries to kick it up. That's nothing. It results in a point, and it increased the lead here for the Bulldogs. As there is no jump from Kate Berg, and there's a whistle, and it's the point Bulldogs. And Schindler runs over, tries a soft touch, but that is kept alive. And number 2, Keena Seifert, hits it into the hands of Kayla Peter, the freshman, but she comes up with nothing. And that is long, again from the freshman Peter. She's seen herself in back-to-back plays. As she hits that one wide left, resulting in a point and increasing that lead to 9 for Minnesota State. This is the biggest lead for the Bulldogs tonight, and by any team. The largest lead for Minnesota State was early in that first set, and that was 4, as they were up 6-2. As Dana Schindler hits one into the pole, that results in a point for the Bulldogs. As that lead increases to double digits, and the Bulldogs are 4 points away from throwing this one, as that in fact hits the line. And that was a close one. But that just puts them 3 points away. And that one is in fact out and clearly obvious, because that is a serving error. MAVRIK, as the freshman Lee takes a seat, and taking her place is the 5'3" freshman Jane Sakowitz from Wakanda, Illinois. As she hits it to Kate Berg, a nice set and touch from Sarah Kelly. Kelly tries a harder version this time, as that is blocked up front by Garvey and Lee, and they're trying to get some life back into this crowd. And another free t-shirt is hyping up the fans. And let's see if that will bring some energy as Jane moves from left to right and gives it 3 dribbles like she's shooting a free throw. And there it is, a block by Schindler and Lee. And they both look at each other in unison, and they give each other a nice high 5-5, and Jim Booz is want to shut down this momentum as he's done it before, and it's worked in his favor as his ladies are 3 points away from throwing this thing away, and they're getting themselves back on the bus. As we take a look at Maverick Sports tomorrow, the men's football team is back in action, and they are taking on Bemidji State, who is an excellent 6-1, and that'll be one of the toughest matchups for that Maverick football team remaining on the schedule. If they can get through this one, they have themselves the eye on the prize and look at themselves at possibly another undefeated season, yet regular season for them in the football department. And as we take a look on the other side, the UMD football team is also undefeated as well, as they are one of the tops in the nation alongside Minnesota State. Minnesota State is first in the nation in football. As we get back underway, as Jane Sekowitz, as the block set back by Schindler, and Ashton Lee tries to spike it down over, but she brings it down on her side instead of the opposite side, which is a little bit of a problem. And Megan Freeberg comes in for Jim Booz as they look to put this one away, as Megan Freeberg has proven to be a great factor in the serving department for the Bulldogs. And there's Garby with the touch, and there's Mackenzie Morgan right there. And right there, Ashton Lee in the long arms. That 6-foot sophomore is having herself a whale of a game up front. And there it is again, right at the line. Anissa Janzig, she comes into the ball game and puts the points up on the board for the Mavericks as they pull within 7. Here's Lowry with the set to Janzig as she tries to do a soft touch, but nothing comes of it. There's Lowry with the soft touch to Garby that goes off the tip of Abby Thor, and she hits that over. That goes right in the hands and then back into the net, and that'll drop on the side of Minnesota State. As we see the Duluth fans get up yet again and looking for their ladies to take home this third set and sweeping the Mavericks here at Breslin Arena. And there it is, as the miss hit goes to Abby Thor, and she puts it over the net, and that results in the game and a sweep of the Mavericks here as Minnesota Duluth takes it 25-16 in that third set. As we take a look at the matchup here this afternoon, there's a lot of keys that went into this game. The service errors from Minnesota State and just errors in general that led the Mavericks that they could not overcome, and it came to be a big problem. On the side of Minnesota Duluth, they overcome some service errors as well as just regular errors, and they take this in 3 sets. And if we look back here to action in tomorrow, as I said before, Minnesota State falls to 15-8 and 8-7 in conference play. But they will take on St. Cloud State, who is 12-8 and is currently playing as we speak. And they are not yet done with their game in St. Paul. And then Minnesota Duluth, the number 7 team in the nation, improves to 20-4 and 13-2 in NSIC play. As Coach Klein, Coach Gonzalez, and Coach Rittenhouse and Wolmuth look to improve for tomorrow and see if they can take this home weekend matchup and they come out of it 1-1 and improve. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for tuning in on the MBN network. Much appreciated. I'd like to thank our technical side, our camera people, and everybody behind the scenes. Thank you for tuning in on the MAVRIK Broadcasting Network. I am Brian Kelly. Thank you.